Now, if some of you don't know, Driver San Francisco is probably my most favourite game. And one of the things I do love about the game is the first person camera view. It's got some great steering animations, making it actually feel like you were in the driver's seat, or Tanner's seat. Now, the Crew Motorfest has improved on the steering animation / camera view from the first two Crew games. And I'm going to compare Driver San Francisco and the Crew Motorfest first person camera views, have a look at the animations and some other notable positives. So, to start off with, we have Tanner changing gears. This does vary in different vehicles, and obviously the different type of gear sticks that they have in the cars, including the paddle shifters and column shifters on others. But there are animations for all these, and the same thing can be said for the Crew Motorfest. Changing gears, doesn't matter what kind it is, they will show some hand animations. Going back to driver, we're going to take a look at the actual steering animations. As you can see here, Tanner crosses his arms and has one hand on the steering wheel when braking. And it's even the same thing for when reversing. Now, although this type of hand animation is not in the Crew Motorfest, we mustn't forget that Driver San Francisco is based on car chase films. So having this sort of steering animation would make sense, especially for Tanner. Now, the Crew Motorfest does have the arms crossing over, however sometimes it does seem a bit too quick. But it still does the job, and is a major improvement over the Crew 2, which didn't have it at all. Now, another hand animation includes honking of the horn. When Driver San Francisco, Tanner, as you can see, puts his hand on the steering wheel to beep the horn, whereas in the Crew Motorfest, as in the previous Crew games, they don't. It's not an absolute necessity, and sometimes the pressing of the horn animation does override the changing of the gears animation. Now we're going to keep going further with more hand animations. So this next lot involves collisions. So as you can see here, Tanner reacts to landing with jumps. And there are different sized reactions for the collision. So we've crashed into a tanker at high speed here, and the hand has come further off the steering wheel. And then we have a slow collision where they don't come off the steering wheel as much. In the Crew Motorfest, however, the drivers have no reaction. So now we're going to be taking a look at hand animations whilst parked up. So in Driver San Francisco, you'll see just a couple of different variations of Tanner moving his hands. And it's very similar for the Crew Motorfest. So there are a couple of bonus animations in the Crew Motorfest, like this one where your driver is looking like they're slightly adjusting the rear view mirror, and another one which I think is pretty neat, when you're below a certain speed your driver will lean on the door. Now we'll be taking a look at the camera. So in Driver San Francisco, you can look left and right, and the field of view is slightly zoomed in. Not nothing to complain about, I would say, but in the Crew Motorfest it is zoomed out more, and you can see the front passenger seat as well. And because of how zoomed out it actually is, you can actually see your driver's feet move. And at least in the Dodge Challenger, you can actually see your driver grab the gear stick. The one little neat addition I do like in Driver San Francisco's first-person camera is the zoom in. So overall, both games each have their own positives and negatives. Driver still holds up, for me at least, 12 years later as having one of the best first-person camera views for an open-world racing game. And the Crew Motorfest is just as good, if not better actually in some cases. And on that note, what are your views about this? I hope you enjoyed the video, and goodbye.